Magandang araw sa lahat. Okay, so this video will talk about Piaget's stages of cognitive development in Module 6. Okay, so Jean-William Fritz Piaget was a Swiss psychologist known for his work on child development. So Piaget's theory of cognitive development and epistemological view are together called genetic epistemology. Now, when we say epistemology, that is a theory of knowledge, especially its methods and scope. Okay, so he was also a director of the International Bureau of Education. He declared in 1934 that only education is capable of saving our societies from possible collapse, whether violent or gradual. So, basic cognitive concepts, schema. Schema refers to the cognitive structures by which individuals intellectually adapt to and organize their environment. It is an individual's way to understand or create meaning about a thing or an experience. For example, if a child sees a dog for the very first time, he creates his own schema of what a dog is. It has four legs and a tail. It barks and it's furry. The child then puts this description of a dog on file in his mind. Okay, when he sees another similar dog, he pulls out the file, his schema of a dog in his mind, looks at the animal with four legs, tail, barks, and furry. Oh, that's a dog. Okay? Kasi yan lang yung pagkakaintindi niya of what the dog is. Okay? So, basic cognitive concepts, assimilation. Another word is the process of fitting a new experiences into an existing or previously creative cognitive structure or schema. Okay, first my schema. Okay, next is the assimilation. So for example, if a child sees another dog, this time a a little smaller one, he would makes sense of what he is seeing by adding this new information, a different looking dog, into his schema. Okay, so what assimilation is? So this one saw this four-legged animal for the first time and then calls her four-leg pet doggy, and the child will call this a doggy. Okay, so another, we have accommodation. This is the process of creating a new schema or altering existing schemas or ideas as a result of new, bago na naman yung information or experiences. So for example, if the same child now sees another animal that looks uh, a little bit like a dog, but somehow different, he might try to fit it into his schema of a dog and say, "Look, mommy, what a funny looking dog. Its bark is funny too." Okay, so then the mommy would explain, "Son, that's not a funny looking dog. That's a goat." So, with mommy further descriptions, the child will now create a new schema, that of a goat. So, he now adds a new file in his filing cabinet. Okay. Equilibration. So, Piaget believed that people have the natural need to understand how the world works and to find order, structure, and predictability in their life. So, equilibration is achieving a proper balance, no, between assimilation and accommodation, an ongoing process that refines and transforms mental structures constituting the basis of cognitive development. So, more equilibration tends to occur as an individual is transitioning, okay, from one major developmental stage to the next. Okay, pag may transition na siya. Okay, so when our experiences do not match our schemata, this is a plural of schema, or that is cognitive structure, we experience cognitive disequilibrium. So this means that there is a discrepancy between what is perceived and what is understood. Now, um, cognitive theory, cognitive development theory, Piaget defined himself as a genetic epistemologist interested in the process of qualitative development of knowledge. And he considered cognitive structures development as a um, differentiation of biological regulations. So when his entire theory first became known, the theory in itself being based on a structuralist and a cognitivist approach. So it was an outstanding and exciting development in regards to the psychological community at that time. So there are a total of four phases in Piaget's research program that included books on certain topics of developmental psychology. In particular, during one period of research, he described himself studying his own three children and carefully observing and interpreting their cognitive development. So, in one of his last books, Equilibration of Cognitive Structures, the central problem of intellectual development, he intends to explain knowledge development as a process of equilibration using two main concepts in his theory, assimilation and accommodation, as belonging not only to biological interactions but also to cognitive ones. So, Piaget's stages of cognitive development, sensory motor stage, that is from birth to 2 years. And then after that, pre operational stage, that is from 2 years to 7 years. And then concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years. And formal operational stage, 12 and up. So, in Piaget's stages of cognitive development, in stage one, which is the sensory motor stage, this is from birth up to age two. Okay, so the children experience the world through movement and their senses. Okay, you see in the picture. During the sensory motor stage, children are extremely egocentric, meaning they cannot perceive the world from others' viewpoints. The sensory motor stage is divided into six substages. 1. Simple reflexes. From birth to 1 month old, at this time, infants use reflexes such as rooting and sucking. Okay? They suck their fingers or whatever things that they hold. No? Two, first habits and primary circular reactions. So from 1 month to 4 months, during this time, children learn to coordinate sensation and two types of schema, habit and circular reaction. So a primary circular reaction is when the infant tries to reproduce an event that happened by accident. Example, sucking thumb. So, third, secondary circular reaction. So, from 4 months to 8 months old, at this time they become aware of things beyond their own body. Okay, so they are more subject oriented. So, at this time, they might accidentally shake or rattle and continue to do it for sake of satisfaction. Fourth, coordination of secondary circular reactions from 8 months up to 12 months old. So during this stage, they can do things intentionally. Okay, they can now combine and recombine schemata and try to reach a goal. So, example, they can now use a stick to reach something. Okay, they also begin to understand object permanence in the later months and early into the next stage. So that is, they understand that objects continue to exist even when they can't see them. Okay, parang lumalawak na yung mundo niya. And fifth, tertiary circular reactions, novelty, and curiosity. So from 12 months old to 18 months old, during this stage, infants explore new possibilities of objects. They try different things to get different results. And then six, internalization of schemata. So stage two, that is our pre-operational stage. Here, the child starts or he begins to learn to speak at age 2 and last up until the age of 7. So he learns how to speak. Okay, so during this pre-operational stage rather of cognitive development, Piaget noted that children do not yet understand concrete logic. Okay? And cannot mentally manipulate information. Hindi pa masyado. Okay, so children increases in playing and pretending takes place in this stage. So however, the child still has trouble seeing things from different points of view. The children play is mainly categorized by symbolic play and manipulating symbols. So such play is demonstrated by the idea of checkers being snacks, pieces of paper being plates, and a box being a table. So their observation of symbols exemplifies the idea of play. So with the absence of the actual objects involved. So pre-operational stage is divided into two substages. Number one, symbolic function substage. So from 2 to 4 years old, uh, children find themselves using symbols to represent physical models of the world around them. So this is demonstrated through a child's drawing of their family in which people are not drawn to scale or accurate physical traits are given. So the child knows they are not accurate, but it does not seem to be an issue to them. Second, egocentrism. So this is the tendency of the child to only see his points of view, and to assume that everyone also has his same point of view. Ito pala yung naiintindihan nila. For example, um, might be that upon seeing his mother crying, a child gives his or her favorite stuffed animal to make her mother feel better. Okay? And then third, centration is the tendency to focus on only one aspect of a situation at one time. So when a child can focus on more than one aspect of a situation at the same time, they have the ability to decenter. For example, a child focusing on the number of pieces of cake not each person has, regardless of the size of the pieces. Third, irreversibility refers to the young child's difficulty mentally reversing. Okay, difficulty mentally reversing a sequence of event. So, for example, if a 3-year-old boy sees someone flatten a ball of play doh, um, a play doh, he will not understand that the doll can easily be reformed into a ball. Okay, so fourth is animism, is the tendency of children to attribute human-like traits or characteristics in animate objects, so such as toys and teddy bears, have human feelings and emotions. So akala nila yung mga toys nila may feelings din kagaya nila. Okay, so for example, a pre-operational child may explain the rain by saying that the clouds are sad and crying. So in the fifth is transductive reasoning. So the tendency of a child in the pre-operational stage of cognitive development to see a connection between unrelated instances using neither deductive nor inductive reasoning. For example, a child might say that it is windy outside because someone is blowing very hard, or the clouds are white because someone painted them that color. So in stage three, this is the concrete operational stage from 7 years old to 11 years old. So uh, this is during their elementary years. Okay, so during this time, children gain a better understanding of mental operation. So children begin thinking logically about concrete events. So, but have difficulty understanding abstract or hypothetical concepts. So, Piaget's determined that children in the concrete operational stage were fairly good at the use of inductive logic. So, inductive logic involves going from a specific experiences to a general. So, inductive is from specific to general principle. So, one of the most important development in this stage is an understanding of reversibility or awareness that actions can be reversed. Okay? An example of this is being able to reverse the order of a relationship between mental categories. For example, a child might be able to recognize that his or her cat is a tompok, that a tompok is a cat, and that cat is an animal. Okay, so we have here the decentering. This refers to the ability of the child to perceive the different features of objects and situations. So, for example, when asked to choose between two lollipops, a child might choose based on how one flavor is better than the other, even though the other is the same size and color. So, reversibility during this stage, which occurs from 7 to 12 years old, the child shows increased use of logical thinking. One of the important processes that develops is that of reversibility. Reversibility refers to the ability to recognize that numbers of objects can be changed, no, and return to their original condition. So the child learns that uh, some the child learns that some things that have been changed can be returned to their original state. So water can be frozen and then be thought to become liquid again. So conservation at this stage still no in concrete operational 7 to 11 years. So at this stage um this is the understanding that when something changes in a shape or appearance, it is still the same. So, to test a child's ability to see how some items remains the same in some ways, even as you change something about them. For instance, their shapes. So, for example, a young child may not understand that when you flatten a ball of clay, it's still the same amount of clay. So seriation. So the process of arranging a collection of items in a specific order or in series on the basis of a particular dimension, weight, volume, or size. So according to Piaget's theory, this ability is necessary for understanding the concepts of numbers, time, measurement, and is acquired by children during the concrete operational stage. So fourth stage is the formal operational stage. So in the final stage of formal operations covering the ages from 12 to 15. So most probably high school. Yes, high school age. So thinking becomes more logical. So they can now solve abstract problems and can hypothesize. Okay, so characteristics of formal operational thought. We have here the abstract, idealistic, and logical. And then in abstract, adolescents think more abstractly than children. Formal operational thinkers can solve abstract algebraic equations, for example. Okay, so in idealistic, adolescents often think that about what is possible. They think about ideal characteristics of of themselves, others, and in the world. So in logical, adolescents begin to think more alike scientists. Um, yes, plans to solve problems and systematically testing solutions. Piaget called this type of logical thinking hypothetical deductive reasoning. Okay, so as the summary, so in the first stage, sensory motor, that is 0 to 2 years, 2 years of age. So description of this stage, coordination of sense with motor responses, sensory, curiosity about the world, language use for demands and cataloging, objects, permanence, develop. Okay, so in 2 to 7 years old, pre-operational, symbolic thinking, use of proper syntax and grammar to express full concepts. Imagination and intuitions are strong, but complex, abstract, though still difficult. Conservation is developed. So in the concrete operational, that is 7 to 11 years old, concepts attached to concrete situations, time, space, and quantity are understood na and can be applied, but not as independent concepts. Okay, so formal operations from 11 up, theoretical, hypothetical, counterfactual thinking, abstract logic and reasoning, strategy and planning become possible. Concepts learned in one context can be applied to another. Okay, so train, we have here the sayings from Proverbs. No? Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Okay.